practically, tangibly, I'm working with CPAs, I'm working at spend, like forget the philosophy. Teach me what the framework is. Well, this is the framework. Okay. So imagine we have $1.7 million in spend on Facebook. You look at the self-attribution CPA that says it's $300. If you look at the Google Analytics CPA says $3,000, you're like, dude, it's not even close to each other. I don't know how you can use them together. Well, that's true. You can, but let's say you have a goal CPA. So you're trying to manage to a $100 CPA. If you're trying to manage to a $100 CPA, no matter which CPA you look at, whether it's self-attribution or Google Analytics, you got to cut budgets. The decision to cut budgets becomes obvious, right? That's what we want to do. We want to basically take a goal ROI metric and frame decisions on top of it. At what level of ROI are we going to increase budgets, reduce budgets, and cut them entirely, right? So now you have this thing where you say, okay, at a $100 budget, I would actually cut budgets no matter what, reduce them significantly. So now you go from $1.7 million in spend and you can reduce it significantly. Typically what happens in these channels, as you cut budgets, your ROI improves, right? So you would expect your CPA to reduce and become closer to the $100 you want. It's kind of what you're expecting to see, okay? So now let's say, for example, you take another read. It's like, okay, that's great, but I'm not quite sure what the advanced attribution rate is going to do. You can take one more data point, which is advanced attribution, could be media mix model incrementality, and see where that falls. Well, that falls somewhere like $700, right? So you're more sure about the decision you're making to actually reduce spend. Okay. Is there a question? Okay. So imagine that you had a different goals ROI. So in this particular case, all the measurement fell on one side of the decision, which is to say, okay, everything that you're measuring, be it last click self-attributed or it's UTM attribution or advanced attribution, everything saying cut budgets. Now imagine you have a different goal. Your goal was $1,000 CPA. Imagine you are working for Peloton or something like that. You have a really high AOV product. You're managing to a much higher CPA acquisition target goal, and then $1,000 is your cost per acquisition, right? In that case, anything less than $1,000, you would actually scale the spend. Anything over $1,000, you would cut the spend. Now it falls on either side, right? Your Google Analytics falls on one side, self-attribution falls on one side. So a good way to think of your self-attribution and Google Analytics as lower bound and upper bound for mid-funnel, upper funnel channels. So if you ignore Google and SEO and lower funnel channels, if you talk about anything slightly mid-funnel and upper funnel, you can think of Google Analytics as the worst case performance and your self-attribution as the best case performance. Typically what will happen is that, again, typically is an important word. Typically you'll find that all the advanced attribution will fall in between the two bounds, right? Now you can like manage that more effectively, okay? Hang tight, Eli. Let me just finish this one section. We'll come back. Okay, now, in this particular case, when you measure it, you find that advanced attribution CPA is 687, closer to self-attribution. Now you feel more comfortable with scaling the spend because it's falling in the scale zone of your decision matrix. Okay. Now, why this idea of triangulating your decisions based on multiple measurement, why this approach is important is because even when you do advanced attribution, if you take multiple approaches, if you take MMM, if you take incrementality, if you take multi-touch attribution, they will all fall in, they won't agree with each other perfectly. There will still be a spread in measurement. If you don't overlay this matrix, this decision matrix on top of it, you will still end up saying that, well, I'm doing 4 different things. I'm doing ads manager reporting, I'm doing UTM attribution, I'm doing multi-touch attribution, I'm doing incrementality testing, MMM, and they all still come back differently. That's true. Without this framing, you'll still not be able to use all that data to make effective decisions. So framing your measurement in the context of what decisions you're making and what decision matrices at various zones of ROI makes it much more usable for you for decision-making purposes.